In this tutorial, we will be going over how to use our Swimlane template that we've provided for you as part of this training. It assumes a little bit of knowledge of Excel and how to generate charts, like not necessarily like this one, but generate charts. So if you're completely unfamiliar with Excel, maybe visit a video on YouTube or go through a separate tutorial. So you see, if we have our project and we've broken it down into 6 tasks here. If we want to change the dates of our tasks, we can do so in our dashboard. I'm going to assume this general project length because that's what we've given, but you can overhaul the whole thing based on what I'm about to show you with newer dates, obviously. So if we look at our task 1 here, and say we wanted task 1 to start in June instead of in April, where it currently starts. Go to our dashboard, we find task 1. Each task is broken up into 4 columns for its data. So you can see that as it goes down along the spreadsheet. We visit our task 1. We see that it starts on April 6, 2017, but maybe it needed to push out, so now we're going to start on May 6th, 2017. Change that, hit enter so the cell populates, and we can go to our chart and see how now our start date for this task is a month pushed to the right. Going back to our dashboard, let's take a look at milestones. These 2 dates represent the start date and the finish date for milestone 1. When you move to milestone 2, the start date and the finish date for milestone 2. You see that the start date for milestone 2 is a day after the end date for milestone 1. That is intentional. Please keep that format. These dates are easily pulled out of a Microsoft project schedule. We did not talk about that in our project, but if you're familiar with project management, it's a great tool and it's easy to copy and paste your task dates from there. If not, it's still easy to do within our tool, but it takes a little more manual work. So that's the date formatting. That's how the dates shift within the data. This column are your X values for task 1's data set in your chart. This is the data set. X values obviously just mean the values from here to here, here to here, along the x-axis. This column represents the Y values for your data set, which basically just places your task in the chart. So, say for instance, we want task 1 to no longer be on the top of the chart. We want it to be on the bottom. You see here that if you go to your y-axis, task 1 is placed at value 10. These numbers are just arbitrary for where your task falls in your chart physically. They mean nothing other than that. So we see it's at 10 right now. If we want it to go to the bottom, but not all the way to the bottom, let's put it at 1, the value between 0 and 2, where task 6 lies. So we want it to go to 1. We populate that cell. We populate all of the cells for our Y values for task 1. And we go back to the chart and see that task 1 has moved down to the bottom of the chart. You can move the legend to see the entire task if you like. It's advised. So that's how you go about shifting dates to the right and to the left and moving your tasks in your chart. Now say you want to change the name of task 1. Characterize it for your own task. We go back to our dashboard. We find the task name in our unique ID row for each task. Task 1, task 2, and so on and so forth. Say we want to change this task to fatigue test. We populate the cell, we hit enter, we go back to the chart, and we now see that task 1 is called fatigue test in our legend. Say we want to change our milestone names. We go back to the dashboard. Maybe we want to call milestone 1 10% complete. We populate the cell and hit enter, go back to the chart, and see that now for our task 1 fatigue test, milestone 1 is 10% complete. Go back to the dashboard. Say we no longer care about the rest of the milestones other than 1 and 2. Maybe 1 becomes 50% complete. Milestone 2 becomes 100% complete. And we want to still keep our end date. We change this to our end date of 2/13/18. We clear these cells up here by dragging our code up here, and then we change our dates in here as well. So, maybe now we call it something like 10/6/17. I apologize also, I meant to put this value in this cell, 2/13/17. This does not matter. We drag it up here. And we want, like I said before, we want this date to follow this date, so this will be 10/5/17. Now if we go back to our chart, we can see 50% is populated here, and I accidentally put 17 here. I meant to put 18. All of these, the dates below have to be after the dates above. We go back to our chart. We see the task still ends where we had it originally ending. And now we just show a 50% milestone and a 100% milestone. We go back to our dashboard. We undo, undo, undo. We do several undos. And now we go back and we see that it's still the same length. So that is how you basically maneuver around this. I will tell you that you can delete tasks. So say maybe you don't care about task 2 anymore. You delete those cells, you go to chart 1, task 2 is not there anymore. You want to remove your line from your legend. You right-click in your plot area, you click select data, you see blank series somewhere depending on if you're on a PC or a Mac. You delete that, we hit OK, and it's no longer in our legend. Now if you want to change your axis values, if you're familiar with Excel, you will know how to do this. But if you're a little less familiar with charts, to change your axis values, say for instance you changed all these dates to more modern dates, something more like 2019, you double click, and hit, I apologize here, you double click, and you see your axis bounds, minimum and maximum. You see some numbers that don't look like dates, even though you see dates here on your chart. That's okay. These are just numerical representations of dates. To figure out what those numbers are for your dates, you simply create a new sheet as I have here. You can see how I've done this before. You type in a date maybe like 3/9/2019. If you go to the cell, you right click, Format Cell. You see it's under a date category. Let's go to number. You go to number, you see the number is 43,533. We go back to our chart. Say maybe now we want our chart to go out to March 9th. You update that number, hit enter, and now you see that our chart area goes out into March. It actually goes to March 9th, even though it marks March 7th here. It's based on your units, major and minor. And right now we have 28 set for days. It's about 4 weeks, so a month. You can tinker with this yourself and find out what works for you. But in general, that's how you navigate this spreadsheet. The more familiar with Excel you are, the easier it'll be to navigate. But we hope you've enjoyed this recording and you found it helpful for using our Swimlane templates. Thank you.